Hi, it's Fabs and welcome back to A Fab Kitchen. Today we are continuing testing and reviewing Nigella's cookbook, Cook, Eat, Repeat. And today it is episode 3 and we will be doing the wide noodles with lamb shank in aromatic broth. So let's get cooking. We're going to start by preheating our oven at 150 degrees Celsius and preparing the rest of our ingredients. It was quite difficult getting all the gochujang to dissolve, but I found that this method was the best way, and it's the same technique that people use when adding miso paste to a dish. I then placed it on medium heat. I added more water to cover the lamb shank and then I waited for it to boil. Once it was boiling, it was time for it to go in the oven for 2 to 2.5 hours. I ended up waiting the full 2.5 hours because at 2 hours it wasn't really falling off the bone. But it wasn't exactly falling off the bone, but I could, I guess, with a fork try and pry it away, so I classed that as ready. Next, I removed the lamb shank and placed it into a bowl and began the very difficult step of straining the broth over it. This was the kind of consistency I was left with. Lamb shank is cooked. The sauce is strained, so we're just going to leave this to cool and then we're going to chuck it in the fridge overnight until it forms like a nice skin. But for now, I want to try this sauce and see how aromatic it is because it smells divine. It is quite sheer at the moment and it does look like it's split a little bit. And what I think it is that gochujang, because originally when I did put it in, you could see that it wanted to separate from that water. But I think when it comes together tomorrow it's going to be lovely, but let's try it as it is. It smells lovely. You can really smell that star anise and the allspice berries. It's okay. It's very carrot strong, I will say. I think what it is my pan was slightly too large and so I did have to add quite a bit of water on top just so I could cover the lamb shank, and if I hadn't done that, I think the strength for the sauce would have been so much more potent, so much stronger. But I don't know, I'm so surprised that there's so much carrot in it, and I didn't even use as much carrot as they did say. What I think though is, like, when it comes to a broth, you're not really supposed to peel anything, but I'm really getting a strong taste of carrot peel. Maybe it will change tomorrow. Let's hope so. I feel like because I did have to add more water, like I literally had to add like, what, say 500 mils, 750 mils more, just so I was able to cover that lamb. And I feel in that kind of case, I probably should have added more ingredients, more of the other ingredients, like some more star anise and some more allspice berries, some more salt. because this isn't like crazy flavoursome at the moment. But we will find out tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'll see you tomorrow. Day 2, let's get this assembled. This is the lamb in a broth cooled overnight in the fridge. As you can see, there are some fat solids on top, so we're just going to scoop those out. But because there aren't that many, I just mainly focused on the large ones and left the rest in. Next, it was time to shred the lamb, and despite 2.5 hours in the oven, the lamb still wasn't super tender, so it didn't fall off the bone, so I did have to get a knife to try and like separate it. This was the final outcome. I then chucked the shredded lamb into a pan and saved the bone for a soup. After that, I got the broth and poured that over the lamb. In the book, it mentions the broth, so I assumed it was all of the broth, but seeing as mine was definitely watered down and there was so much more than there should have been, I didn't use all of it. I just poured a tiny bit just to cover it all. Next, I shredded the cabbage and put some water on to boil. Once it was boiling, I turned the heat on low underneath the pan with the lamb, salted the water, and chucked in my noodles. Because my noodles only took 3 minutes, I chucked in my cabbage at the same time, but if your noodles take any longer, add in your cabbage 3 minutes before they're done. Then it was time to drain the noodles and cabbage and assemble the dish. And we are finished. So the only thing left to do is taste this dish. So let's do that. I'm gonna mix it all together first so we can really see what the broth tastes like with the chili oil, because at the moment it is a little bit plain. I did taste it yesterday, I tried it again today, and again, still plain. So we'll see what it's like all mixed together. Okay, so I've mixed this all together and I've got a little bit of everything on this spoon here. So let's try it. We gonna call this the stank face and the oh no baby, what is you doing? One word that just comes to mind as soon as you try this is literally just bland. Oh my gosh, there's like, and there's no seasoning to this, and I think it is because there was too much water added. But honestly, this, like, she told us, oh, she used a 20 centimeter pan, but she didn't say, oh, it was required, or she should have given, like, I don't know, some kind of alterations to the recipe if you are adding extra water because you don't have that size of pan. But wow, I'm really underwhelmed. I'm actually so surprised because wait, it smelled so good when the lamb was in that like aromatic sauce and it was in the oven, and I was like, oh my gosh, it smells amazing. But like this, for it to end up like this and it's taken 2 days. Let's go on to ratings. In terms of taste, this was so underwhelming. It's bland. It's just so ridiculous because lamb is one of those expensive meats as well, and for it to just turn out like this, where it's just, I would rather have a slice of bread and butter at least. Like literally, it would have more flavour than this dish. And I mean, like, I guess it's not supposed to have like a crazy amount of flavour, but it's still supposed to be a little bit better because, like, I understand that broths are, well, no, that's a lie. Oh, don't listen to me, that's a lie. There are some good broths, especially when you're having like ramen. I don't know where she was going with this, but for that reason, because like literally it's just so bland and there's no taste and the texture is just a bit I am going to give it a 2-star. In terms of ease of sauce, I did struggle to find 2 ingredients. One of them were the pappardelle, or like wide noodles, and I could find like pappardelle with egg in it, but she specifies not to have one with egg in it, and that I could not find, and I couldn't find any other wide noodles in any kind of supermarket, which was ridiculous. I tried 3 supermarkets and to no avail. So I did end up using like some wide-ish, I'll say, like rice noodles, but I feel like it would have been better with wider noodles. And then I couldn't really find the lamb shank in like my everyday supermarket. I did end up buying it from the butchers, and so you can find it in like any kind of butchers. And I did like look around, and I did find that they sold it in the, I'll say, higher class supermarkets. People in the UK, I'll let you decide which ones those are. But yeah, it was just a bit difficult to find those, but it wasn't awful in terms of like sourcing the ingredients, and for that reason I am going to give it a 4-star. And now in terms of difficulty, let me tell you, it's like, it wasn't the craziest, like the most craziest, we'll say that. It wasn't the most, no, that's not right. Where is my English? So I wouldn't say this was the most difficult recipe to make. Like, it was pretty simple, but it did take 2 days, and for this outcome I'm just like, was it worth it? That's a hell no. But I don't know, it's just the way that it's written. I understand, Nigella, I understand you're extravagant, but when you're so extravagant that it's difficult to comprehend the method, like it was so difficult to comprehend this one step, and I really struggled. I was like, which pan, which ingredient? And honestly, I felt like I was back in GCSE English, like annotating of mice and men, and it was literally like I was thrown back to that, because it was like I had to remember exact English grammar that isn't used in everyday language, let me just tell you that. Like, you wouldn't even find this in the Telegraph, but we found it in Nigella's book, this certain kind of grammar, and it did take a while for me to remember, and I'm going on a tangent. But anyway, so for difficulty, I am giving this a 3.5 star, and so overall this dish is getting a 3.2 star, which is the worst this like a dish has been rated in her entire book. And I was really disappointed, because I did actually watch, you know, that series she had on BBC, and it was her Cook, Eat, Repeat, and she was just trying out her recipes from this book, and I saw it online and I was like, oh my goodness, this looks so good. And it was not. How did she make it look that bad, like that banging on TV? And mine's just, I might as well just have had cabbage soup, and you know how bland that is. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. But for now, peace. Day 2, let's get this all assembled. Gosh.